Hey guys, Mike from Nerd Problems Gaming here, and welcome to Nerd Problems Gaming, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, I'll be doing a review of Final Fantasy Adventure on the Collection of Mana, so stay tuned. So again, guys, if you're not familiar with the Collection of Mana, basically it has 3 different games on it. And in this video, I'll be going through a review of Final Fantasy Adventure. And so again, this game first came out on the original Game Boy in 1991. So it's kind of a while ago, right? But I remember playing the Game Boy Final Fantasies as a kid. Now, I never actually had this one. I had the Final Fantasy Legends series. So I had a couple of those. And what's really different about Final Fantasy Adventure compared to those is Adventure is more of like an action RPG. So it's really going to have more of like a Legend of Zelda type feel to it compared to more of like a turn-based RPG of the kind of mainstream Final Fantasy series. So storyline, pretty basic, right? It's a Game Boy game, so it's not going to be super in-depth, but basically you follow the hero that you name yourself, so whatever you want, right? So he's kind of like an ex-gladiator and is kind of put on the spot to become a knight and really protect the mana tree, which basically is kind of like the source of all life, the source of, energy, of nature, and basically what happens is the evil emperor is trying to take hold of the power of the mana tree to basically kind of rule the world, right, and get ultimate power. And so it's your job to protect the world, save the mana tree, and basically prevent that from happening, right? And so that's pretty much the story, right? You go through various different towns and dungeons to, make that a reality. So nothing super in depth, pretty basic. Like I said, it's a Game Boy game, so there's not a lot of dialogue or an intense storyline as you play the game. But surprisingly, it's a pretty long game. I would say it took me around like 10 to 15 hours to beat this game and really experience everything that it had to offer. One thing I definitely really enjoyed with the game, like I said, is the gameplay and the level up mechanics. So the gameplay is going to be pretty much like, an old school top-down Legend of Zelda type game, dungeon crawler, as you're playing through. So you go from like kind of screen to screen, new enemies will appear, and then you can fight them with the various weapons and items that you pick up throughout the game. So that's one thing that's pretty cool, is it has a lot of different weapons that you can pick up throughout the game. So you're going to be getting like axes and swords, like chain whips, maces, all kinds of different stuff that you're going to pick up throughout the game. And that's pretty cool because each of them kind of has their own unique ability, and then some of them also have extra features to them as well. So like axes can cut down trees, for example, or like chain whips are kind of like the hook shot in Zelda, so you can shoot across gaps and lock onto stuff and kind of pull yourself across. So that's pretty cool to be able to play with these different weapons as you go through the game. Now, a downside that I find really annoying with this game, kind of really the early Final Fantasy, so on like the regular Nintendo, this one as well, some of the Final Fantasy Legend games, is really the inventory. And so it's super small. Obviously it's limited by the hardware, but at the same time, it can definitely be frustrating because your inventory will fill up all the time and you won't be able to pick up new items. So what happens is you have to discard items, use them when you don't really need them, just to be able to pick up new things. And so that's definitely a frustrating aspect when you're playing the game. Now, when it comes to kind of the challenge of the game, one of the big challenges is the puzzles within it, right? Being that it's a Game Boy game and there's pretty limited story, pretty limited hints of telling you what's going on, you're going to actually run into some puzzles that are nearly impossible, without the help of the internet. So I'm actually glad that I played this game now versus back when I was a kid and I could have picked it up then, because there's definitely some puzzles that I think I never would have gotten past without the help of the internet. So basically one of them, for example, you're trying to get into like an oasis cave, and what happens is they give you a hint of 8 palm trees and 8. Right? And so you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to look for 8 palm trees. There's going to be a hidden thing. Cool, right? Well, nowhere is there 8 palm trees anywhere, right? On these different screens that you're traveling around in the world. Basically what happens is you have to run a figure 8 around a couple palm trees and then a magic door opens. And so again, super vague. I don't really know how anyone would ever figure that out, let alone if you're, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old trying to figure out how to get past this puzzle with just palm trees and 8. Pretty difficult, right? So, some of the puzzles are a little bit challenging, near impossible unless you can just look it up on the internet, and then you're good to go, right? Another thing that was kind of frustrating that happened to me at one point in the game is that if you don't have the specific items, there's certain like obstacles that you can't get past. So maybe it's like a wall you need to break through, or there's stones that you need to smash with specific items, right? And so what happened is I ran out of that item, and then there was absolutely no way to get more of that. So I was actually trapped in a room in a dungeon with no way out. And so basically I had to restart my game and lose like an hour of play time. So pretty annoying. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind. Make sure you always have keys on hand, and then also the Madoc, which is kind of like breaking rocks and specific walls. You want to make sure that you have those at all times, because you could be screwed without it. So that was definitely frustrating with that. But overall, another thing that I kind of noticed is as I played, I seemed pretty overpowered. So it's cool that there is like unique boss fights, but I just kind of felt like I was button mashing when I was playing against them. I didn't really feel like I had much strategy. I could kind of pick whatever weapon I wanted and just keep smashing the button and healing myself with the cure spell that I had, and was pretty much indestructible. So again, maybe I was just overpowered or a little bit too high of level. I'm not really sure. But I think that's going to be kind of a natural consequence of the game if you're trying to figure out these puzzles as you're going through. So you're just going to keep getting more and more experience. I guess if you ran past a lot of enemies, when you got to the end boss fights, it might be a little harder. But I'm pretty much, when I play RPGs, I'm going to kill everything I see and get the most experience possible. So you might find yourself a little overpowered. It's not super difficult of a game. Like I said, maybe just some of the puzzles because of the vague directions that they give you when you play. But overall, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend playing this game. Like I said, you can pick it up on the original Game Boy, or you can get the Collection of Mana, and that's also included on that game as well. So some of the other perks that you're going to find if you're playing like the Collection of Mana version, it kind of has it's a neat background display kind of on the sides, because again, the Game Boy is kind of like that square, visual frame around it. So you have that to it, but it also kind of has different skins, I guess you could say, that you can play the game in. So like black and white, kind of like a tan color, or you can play on like kind of the original Game Boy, like green screen with the lines, and then there's various sizes. So that's kind of cool to be able to switch between those, play in the mode that you like. Another thing that is useful, but I guess I didn't necessarily use a ton, they do have like a save state feature. So I think it might be more beneficial in the other games included in this collection. But with this game, Final Fantasy Adventure, you actually have the ability to save whenever you want. So it's not like the early Final Fantasy games where you're saving at an inn, or you actually have to use a save point like the future ones. You just literally save whenever you want. So that would be my suggestion, to save frequently, because again, if you die, sometimes it comes out of nowhere. There's little things in the dungeon that are kind of like an instant kill that you don't really see coming at all. So that was another thing that was a little bit frustrating, where you might have full health, you accidentally touch something and you die completely, and then you might lose like an hour of gameplay, if you didn't save it recently. So save early, save often, use that feature. But again, for the Collection of Mana aspect with it, I didn't need to really use those save states because the game itself really had that ability. But again, guys, let me know in the comments below if you played Final Fantasy Adventure, if you like it, if you like those old school Game Boy games, if you played the Legends one, I'd love to chat with you more about it there. Let me know in the comments. And again, if you got value out of this video, definitely feel free to like and share this video. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications to get the latest updates of the new nerd videos we put out here. And then if you'd like to help us support the channel, maybe pick out videos and more, consider becoming a patron of ours over at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. Again, that's nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And then if you'd like to follow our Let's Plays and live streams we do on the channel here, you can follow us on Twitch over at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Twitch. Again, that's nerdproblemsgaming.com twitch. But also, if you want to pick up a copy, I'll have a link in the description below where you can pick up this game, get the collection, or you can find it over on Amazon. Maybe find the original Game Boy one over there. But click the link below this video to pick up that if you'd like. But once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.